Welcome back to your favorite channel. It's the PBC. It's your boy PBK9s, giving it to you the way I always do. Fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. Some gonna like it, some ain't, man. I appreciate everybody for rocking with the channel. I appreciate everybody that's down in the chat, everybody that's listening or watching or doing both right now. If you're at work, if you're on the highway, no matter where you're at, drive safe, work, have a productive day at work, man, and we come tune in to the channel. We got some things to talk about. Today's episode, we speaking about steroids and working dogs. Is it cheating? Is it getting the edge? Just drop your opinion on it. We're going to be speaking about it. Big shout out to all the pet lovers across the world, from the south to the east to the north to the west, North America, South America, Africa, Europe, and Asia. You know, all the whole globe. Big salute to all the pet lovers, man, and any style pet that you taking care of. Because like I always say, it takes a job to take care of these pets. It's a whole job alone just taking care of whatever pet you got. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get into it, man. And like I said, hit that like button up, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. If you want to donate to the channel, hit me up in the Cash App, Pelican Bay Kennel, capital P, capital B, capital K. Everything else lowercase. But let's get into this dog talk, man. And the thing about it, we're gonna speak about steroids and working dogs, and we're gonna cover a whole lot of topics. Big shout out to the brothers that hit me up when we were speaking about steroids, that gave their opinion on it in the last live. The brothers that text me, as well as the brothers that drop down in the comments on their opinion about steroids. And like I said, this video is not to discredit nobody who used it in their program. This video is all about opinions. Tell me what you think when it comes to the topics that we're speaking about, or the particular avenue that we take when we're speaking about the steroids. You know, the first thing is first. First thing is first. We got to start off with the golden era, the match days. You know, I gotta say this. You know, because I came up in the golden era. You know, I was matching dogs in the 90s, not just thinking about it, not just looking at it, not just seeing it. You know, I never, nobody, you know, you couldn't look at a person coming in juiced up as it was cheating. It was never heard of as being a cheating, or you cheating whenever you came in juiced up, or you never knew if somebody came in juiced up or not. You never asked, you know, oh, is he juiced up or is he on still? That was something that never came across your mind. All you was worrying about was, did you have the better bulldog? You know, that's all you was worrying about, and that's all that mattered. Did you have the better bulldog that day, or did you come out victorious? You know, so we're gonna start off with the golden era. And like I said, everything that we speaking about when we talking about this historical stuff with these dogs, as far as matching and rolling and fighting and different things, we're not broadcasting none of that stuff from modern day time. We know what the laws is today. We talking about the past, and in order to talk about the future, we got to go into the past. So, you know, if you won, if you lost, you couldn't bring up, if you lost the show or lost the match, you couldn't bring up the fact that the brother dog was on steroids, because like I said, you wouldn't have known that, and that would have been a lame excuse to why you lost back then. You know, but the thing I want to ask you is, if this game is about having the bulldogs, right? See, that's where it all comes into play, about the money wise as well. I tell brothers that pot that you putting on that match determines a lot of what them brothers gonna do in order to win that match. You talking about, just look at it like this: you got a match for 1,000, and you got a match for 100,000. The brother that's matching for 1,000, he's arguing about, he's trying to see who got the best bulldog, right? That's what matters to him. The ones, the ones that's rolling for 100,000, they don't care about having the best bulldog. You got too much money on the line to worry about, is your bulldog the best? You need your bulldog to win. That's all they worrying about when you doing it for 1,000. I mean 100,000. So it's a big difference. Like I say, back in them days, the golden era, or the you know, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, if a brother didn't rub his dog, or if a brother didn't make a handle or something to the point where you say, oh, he cheating, touching his dog or doing something, for the most part, rubbing or putting some type of poison. For the people that don't know what rubbing is putting poison on your dog, so the other dog can get in his mouth, get it in his face, get it in his eyes, and he can lose, and it can kill him, or it'll defeat him without your dog actually doing the defeating. Some dogs come out and they react off the rub fast. They come out and they react off the rub, and it takes them out fast. Some dog takes them out over time. I've even seen dogs that got rubbed and they die the next day, or they die 2 or 3 days later. So, they had different rubs. You had frog piss, you had this, you had that. Certain things folk put on their dog fur that affect the other dog. Now, if you wasn't doing that, steroids was never considered cheating. Never considered cheating. So, like I said, we're gonna go down the line and we're just gonna speak about this subject. Now, I will say I was always a natural person. I will say I've had Winstraw V in my possession. I know, but I've never administered it in the right way. And that's what a argument is going to be for a lot of brothers. Is going to say, if you're giving it the right way, you're giving it the right way. But we're not here to talk about whether you give it in the right way or not. We're here to talk about, is it considered cheating, or should it have been considered cheating? And I always say, if you're trying to see if you got a bulldog or not, why use an enhanced supplement as far as steroids? They got all kind of other vitamins that you can give your dog to keep your dog amped up and juiced up. The same way you don't have to take steroids to have a lot of energy throughout your day. All you got to do is eat right. If you're eating right, then you're going to have the energy. You see, that's the way I look at it. You don't have to go shoot steroids in your ass and juice up to go out there and get muscles. You can have just as many muscles as the next person got when you go into the gym if you eating right and doing the right things with your body. That's what it's all about. In my opinion, I say, in my opinion, like I said, I say, if you got a bulldog, you don't have to juice up. Now, many people will say it don't make your dog, it just helps your dog be a little bit better. It don't make him have a style. If he's a rear end dog, he's still gonna be a rear end. He's a chest, he's still gonna be a chest dog, or a front end, or a leg dog, or face dog, or mouth, or whatever. He's still gonna do the same thing, but he's gonna do it just a little bit better. He's gonna have a little bit more intensity when he do it. And the reason why I started with the matching and all that, because we gonna get into all these legal activities with the dogs in modern day time, and it may change the way you look at certain things. So I had to start with the matching first, because that's where where it all started from. You know what I'm saying? That's where it all started from. Now, a lot of dogs, would they have won if they wasn't on steroids? A lot of brothers will say yes, and some of the brothers that lost may say no. That dog wouldn't have beat me if he wasn't on roids. I'm not the one to say that. Anytime that I ever lost throughout my days, I can't say it was because of steroids. The other dog was on it. Because like I said, we never asked that question. It was never a question that was brought up. Is he on roids? Is he on roids? Or is he juiced up? That was never a question. A lot of times a brother would lose himself if he was on roids and he didn't know how to do it right, the right way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I said, drop down in the comments, drop down in the chat. It just depends on when you're watching this video, and let a brother know what's your opinion on it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's not whether you know how to use it, it's whether it was getting the edge, whether it would be considered cheating, or whether it should have been considered cheating. And like I said, we're gonna move from event to event to event to event. From the matching, from the rolling. Now, let me get on this subject before I get to that. I'm just gonna jump around a little bit, and then because I know the steroids is the topic. I know I can stay on that, but I may forget some of the stuff that's coming to my brain real quick. I think, in my opinion, you got the Cajun rules out there. The Cajun rules don't say anything about scratch to win. In my opinion, the scratch to win conversation and the scratch to win rule was brought up by brothers who wanted to keep the losing dog in the show. Scratch to win, it only, like, I've heard brothers say that dogs had to scratch to dead dogs. What was the point of a pit bull scratching to a dead pit bull if the pit bull done killed him in the square already? That don't make no sense. It's only to keep the person who lost in the game, keep him from losing his money, or say it's a draw or it's this. If your dog died in the middle, there's no need for that dog to have to come across to a dead dog. That defeats the whole purpose, in my opinion. It defeats the whole purpose. And the rule scratch to win, that ain't in the Cajun rules. The Cajun rules say the first dog to stop, don't come across, the other dog automatically wins. It don't say the dog that don't come across, now this dog time to scratch. He must come across. Now, like I said, scratch to win means you trying to, this dog didn't scratch. Oh, now if this dog don't scratch, it makes your dog look better. Your dog didn't scratch, so it makes your dog look better. And it turns the whole situation into a draw. You know, that's why I say, man, the rules are being pushed. The goalpost is being pushed, and it been being pushed since back in the days. If your dog didn't scratch and he was the first one to stop scratching, y'all lost. It don't matter, in my opinion, and by the Cajun rules, which is the official rules for the box back then. If your dog didn't scratch, it don't matter what that dog over there did. All that man, a lot of people say, can I get a courtesy scratch? Just to let you see his stuff still coming. He don't got a scratch. You know what I'm saying? The moment your dog don't cross that line or make contact, it just depends on which rules you made. Whether it was teeth, you had to put teeth in them, or you had to cross that center line. The moment your dog don't complete the task at hand, that man dog won, is what the Cajun rules say. But the scratch to win, like I said, is a rule that was implemented in that dog game that it was only to help the losing dog. The scratch to win is not to help the better dog, it's to help the losing dog. Scratching to a dead dog is not to help the down, not to help the winning dog, it's to help the dead dog. So if you got a dead dog in the middle of the box and you say he got a scratch to a dead dog, how can that be? The dog that's gonna scratch first is the dog that come out of hole, staying out of hole. They out of hole for a certain amount of time. Okay, this dog got a scratch first. They make a turn, or something like that. This dog the one got a scratch first. The dog can't make a turn. The dog dead. And everybody know the dog that made the first turn is the dog that scratched. This dog didn't turn. He killed the dog on the ground. So the dog is deceased. So you mean to tell me the deceased dog don't got a scratch first? The dog that's kicking ass got a scratch first? No, the deceased dog, let him scratch. Take him to the corner, let him go. See if he going to come back alive and scratch. If he don't, the show over. There's no purpose. The only purpose of all of that is to help the down dog, to help the losing dog stay in the battle, call it a draw, save y'all money. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. Now, another opinion is, do y'all think capping the teeth was cheating or is cheating? If you gotta add, or if you added sharp razor blade teeth to your dog mouth, and that can be a real factor in the show. If you know your dog got fake teeth and they've been sharpened, because a brother always told me, you don't worry about them sharpening the real teeth. They can only sharpen the real teeth so many times. Maybe they might get you with them, but they gonna ruin the enamel on a dog's teeth when you sharpen them with files or sharpen them with however you got to sharpen them, other than biting bones and stuff. That's the only genuine way to sharpen your dog teeth, is by biting bones and doing it the way a dog would do it in the wild. But when you do it with human help, with using files and using all this other stuff, it's giving your dog the advantage. So would that have been cheating in your eyes? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Would that have been cheating? Putting the file, putting the sharp teeth in your dog mouth, giving him 4 extra razor blades in his mouth, and at the same time, that'll cut your dog up. But at the same time, it helps your dog in a way, because no matter what kind of dog you're going against, if the dog is a good hard biter, you don't want the blood to stay in your dog. You want the blood to come out your dog back then. You didn't want the dog to hit your dog in the chest and no blood is coming out. Some brothers see black blood and this and that. Okay, cool. But you want that black blood to be coming out. You don't want the black blood to be staying on the inside. And a lot of times when you have dogs, what you got to worry about is your dog's that teeth aren't as sharp. They don't got razor blade teeth, but they got super hard bites. They do a lot of damage, but they don't cut the skin. Now you got a lot of bleeding on the inside of that dog, which makes it real easier, and the dog gonna stop much faster than he would have been if he would have been bleeding out. You know, and that's 100%. That's 100% fact. Dogs that bleed out are in better conditions than dogs that keep the bleeding on the inside. He can go in his back end. He can go in his kidney area. As long as the blood coming out, you may be okay. But when that blood stays in, you got some problems. You know what I'm saying? You got problems. And like I said, I just had to throw that out there real quick. But we talking about steroids. Is steroids cheating? Would it be considered cheating? Now let's move on to the next event. We talking about hog hunting. We're not talking about hog hunting with a whole pack of catch dogs. We talking about starting an activity where the owner and his dog go out and try to catch a hog. The competition is who can catch the hog the fastest, wrap the hog up. You got to wrap the hog legs up, hog tie 'em, both legs, for the competition to be over. Whoever can get the biggest hog and get the biggest hog the fastest wins the competition. The man on steroids wins the competition. Would it be considered cheating? Would you think you got cheated if the person won the competition was using steroids? You know, and the thing is, we always say, and we always hear the people that like the animal activists and all that type of stuff. You got your backyard fighters from back in the days, and you got your professional fighters, the ones that did it on professional levels. Any sport there is, any professional sport there is, they do doping tests, steroid tests. Why wouldn't the pit bulls be the same? So we say, okay, in a fairy tale world where they're gonna have pit bull fighting legal, they're gonna show it on channel 13. You know, right now today in 2026, they're gonna show the matches every once a week on Sundays, whether it's pay-per-view or live TV. They're gonna show them, and you don't think there'll be doping tests involved right now today? You know, if they were to show, okay, we gonna see Mayday versus whoever he went against in his show this Sunday coming up, right? Mayday versus Grand Champion Yellow. I'm just gonna say it like that. Or Mayday versus the Big Hank Dog. All right. This coming up Sunday. Everybody been talking about this match, right? You don't think, and this we talking about legal, legitimate stuff. You don't think it will be a doping test going on with this stuff? It's on TV. You don't think that. Now, one thing I know about steroids, and this is for a fact. If you talking about using steroids for a fight, you can dope a week out. You know, you can test. I'm talking about you can test for doping a week out. You don't gotta wait till the day of the show. You test for steroids a week away from the match. Say if the dogs Mayday and them fighting this Sunday, you test the Sunday before, and they can't use them steroids in a week's time to benefit them in that show. So if they clean a week before the show, you don't worry about if they use the steroids within that week because it's gonna only hurt their dog. You know, because one thing I know about steroids, you can dope, but you gotta condition that dog on the steroids in order for him to be able to handle himself while having that stuff in his body. You can't just shoot your dog with it. And I know this enough. I know this part enough. You can't just shoot your dog with it and say, "Oh, I did it the right way." You know what I'm saying? You got to work your dog your whole entire keep with that in mind. You using the steroids, you got to start that the beginning of your keep as far as knowing what you're gonna do and how you're gonna work your dog with it. You can't just shoot him 3 days and think, "Oh, I shot him with steroids and it's gonna make him win this match right here coming up." Nah, you're gonna get a burnt out dog. Is what you're gonna get. A dog that's gonna blow himself out and not gonna recover. The whole point, you gotta teach your dog how to recover, you know, on that steroid that he's gonna be on. You know, me myself, I only had dealing with the Winstrol. Like I said, you got equipoise, you got all kind of stuff out here that these brothers may use for these dogs. Now, like I said, we get into the different events. Hog hunting. Would you consider that cheating if you was beaten by a dog that was on steroids, you know, legally, legal events. He was strong enough to take a bigger hog down than you. Your dog did it right. Your dog was natural, but this dog was strong. They was the same weight, but he was a lot stronger than your dog, a lot more aggressive than your dog because he was juiced up. And like I said, if they ever were to make dog fighting legal to where it was you can watch it on a Sunday, they would be testing for steroids. You wouldn't be able to use it. Period. And like I always stand by the thing. And like I said, this is no discredit to no brother that used it. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the days, a lot of brothers used it. A lot of brothers had success. We at this point right now, we don't know if Mayday used steroids every single time he went out. We don't know if Grand Champion Yellow used steroids every time he went out. We don't know if Jeep used steroids every time he went out. But would that affect you as far as saying, oh, that's not my favorite dog? Or Eli or a certain dog is not my favorite dog because they use steroids? It's not going to affect your opinion on the dog. But I always say, if you got a bunch of people around a square, right, looking at a show, and this dog has only been shown on the juice, he's only been shown on steroids. Now it's time to buy puppies off this dog. Y'all gonna be looking at something that your puppies may not be able to show you. This dog is doing things on the juice that your puppy's not gonna be able to do because they only gonna react. They only gonna come out genetically doing with the stuff that he was doing. That's the part of saying if you got a bulldog or not. If you got a bulldog and he produce bulldogs like him, he can't produce bulldogs like him if every time he rolling, he on the juice because he not like himself in the square. He gonna produce lower caliber bulldogs. And I don't need somebody else to validate what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. Certain things I'm not right about. But I know for a fact if your dog is fighting off juice for 5 shows, and then these brothers getting these puppies thinking, oh, they're gonna be shaking like he's shaking, they're gonna be doing like he's doing. You gotta start selling juice with the puppies. When this brother buy a puppy from me, I gotta give him a Val, a Winstraw V to keep till the dog get grown so your dog can do the stuff that my dog was doing. You gotta sell the dogs with the stuff that you was giving them in order to get them same results. And like I said, man, when it comes to the money that's involved with the match, is when you start taking extra measures. If brother's only rolling for $500, $1,000, you're not worried about whether you lose. You want to win, but you're not hard pressed and saying, oh, if you lose, you done lost everything. You done lost the house, the car, everything. If you lose, when you talking about 50, 100,000 and all this, and to some brothers, that's nothing. But that's when we get back to the gamblers. We're not even talking about that right now. You know what I'm saying? Because we already know the gamblers fucked up and they don't care about the actual bulldog. They care about winning the money. You know what I'm saying? And to the brothers that ask me, how can you keep the dogs in top quality if you're not doing the illegal stuff? How can you keep the dogs in top quality if you got gamblers in the game that don't care about whether they got a true bulldog or not? Answer that question for me, my brothers. I already told you it's ways to see these dogs gameness, but when you're dealing with gamblers, how is that not messing it up no different than the brother that's not doing the same thing you doing? He don't care about the dog. All he care about is winning, so he gonna rub something on him. All he care about is winning, so he gonna juice him all the way up, and he don't care about is this dog really a bulldog? You see? They got natural dogs that'll run through your dog that's juiced up, and he's still good. Your dog good on the juice, but he still can't beat this natural dog. That's the whole point, man. If you beat 3 shows on the juice, there's no way in hell you're going to have confidence to take that dog out for the 4th without being juiced up. I don't care what nobody say. If you did all your shows on juice, you won all your shows on juice, you need juice in order to go against the next motherfucker. I don't care what nobody say. You're not going to be confident. Only the confidence comes in with natural dogs. Dogs that naturally that can do this thing. Oh, you ain't give him the juice. You gave it to him last time. He did damn good. The one time he did go out, he didn't do too good, but he won. He didn't do too good, but when you gave him the juice, he did damn good. You know. So now somebody calling you out and you can't get hold of no juice, you can't get hold of nothing. You ain't all that confident, and that's because you don't really know if you got a bulldog or not, 100%. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, we into the hog hunting event right now. Would you think it was cheating if somebody used steroids on you and they beat you in a hog hunt, getting the biggest hog in the fastest time? Now we move on to the next event, weight pulling. You know, it's a matter of time. Only reason they're not doing it yet, you know, is maybe because certain people ain't complaining, or maybe time gonna tell. Eventually, that weight pull competition, it needs to be doping testing. It needs to be blood and urine testing for steroids. You got two dogs, 45 pounds. One dog pulling 1,000 pounds, the other dog pulling 4,000 pounds. The dog that's pulling 4,000 is on the juice. You telling me that's fair? You telling me that's a fair event? You see, and brothers that say you can look at these dogs and tell they're not, you can't look at no dog and tell they're not on steroids, because different steroids do different things. Some of them work the strength, and some of them work the air, some of them work the muscles. You know, so different. This dog might not be muscular, but he's on juice and he's a whole lot stronger than you can see just by looking at him by eye. And I'm telling you, nobody can tell me that if two 45-pound dogs pulling weights, one of them on steroids, the one on steroids pulling 3 times more than the one not on steroids, that's not cheating. Like I said, you're going to have a different opinion about certain things by the time this video over, you know. And it goes back to, do you got a weight pulling dog that can really pull this weight? Do you got a real bulldog for the match dogs? You know, do you got a real hog hunting, hellified American Pitbull terrier, or do you got to shoot him with something to get that edge? So you telling me you not, I'm telling you it like this, right? Say we going to go to a weight pull competition in the dog show coming up, right? And somebody out there talking loud. Man, I know my dog going to win. I got him juiced all the way up. I'm willing to bet you, if you talk too loud about having your dog on steroids in that weight pull competition, and you talking real loud, where the judges can hear you and other people can hear you, since y'all say it ain't illegal or it ain't cheating, I guarantee you they will not allow that dog to pull weights. I guarantee you. You know, oh, I'm on steroids. I don't care. My dog juiced up. This and that, this and that. Them judges and all that hear you, even though they don't have a policy in place. I guarantee you they say you disqualified for the day. You can't let your dog up there to pull them weights. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to bet you, because it's not fair. In any professional sport, when you use steroids, you are cheating. So we know, like I said before, the dog game, you got professionals and you got backyard boogie people. You know, when it comes to being professional, anytime you use enhancement stuff, it's called cheating. And there's no way that you're going to say, oh, my dog pulled 1,000 pounds, but this brother over here bragging about having a dog on steroids beat you because he pulled 4,000 pounds. There's no way in hell none of y'all can sit there and tell me, I don't care if you're in the chat, I don't care if you're watching this video later. It's no way in hell that you're not going to tell me you're going to walk over to the judge. You're not going to walk over to the judge and say, oh, how you going to let him win when he is saying he on steroids? Or he used steroids. How you going to let him even enter in the show? And you're not going to tell me that you're not going to come the next day after you done lost, you're not going to come talk about it. Oh, man, I lost, yeah, but he was on steroids. Because it's cheating. You know what I'm saying? If you got a weight puller, then you need to bring a weight puller to the test without all the juice. And I'm almost certain that one day in the future, they will be testing for steroids in the weight pull. They need to. They need to. Now, we talking about wall jumping, wall climbing. The dog that won the wall climb is on steroids. And you know it. You see, it's a difference if you don't know it. you know. But as years go on, as things get more updated, and brothers competing in these shows and these events, brothers don't want to waste their 8 weeks training for this and training for that just to get beat by a dog on steroids. So the more people start complaining, oh man, you got to do some testing. I guarantee you, some of these dog show people gonna start doing doping testing. You know, it's just gonna have to be that way, or you gonna consistently be getting cheated by folk that's doping. And if you want to say your bulldog is what he's supposed to be, your bulldog is jumping 20 feet in the air because he's a real jumper. Not because he's so full of this shit, he can't do nothing but jump. You know what I'm saying? It's cheating then. And like I said, man, this is not to discredit no brother what any brother was doing in the back in the days. You know what I'm saying? We just talking about, and like I say, drop your opinions down in the comments, drop your opinions down in the chat. You know, if you got a dog that can really win the wall jump, if you got a real jumping dog, why use that stuff? If you got a real strong dog and you training your dog to pull, why use that stuff? If you got a real bulldog that know how to do real bulldog shit, why use that stuff? Because you're trying to give your dog the edge. Give your dog the edge by giving him the right ingredients, the right supplements, and training him the right way. You can give your dog the edge just like that. Everybody dog not coming in healthy. Everybody dog not coming in tip top shape. You know, oh, you telling me if Tyreek Hill before he got injured or Hussein Bolt, oh, they taking steroids. Now, that's why they so fast, right? We all seen Hussein retire a great career. Hussein Bolt retired from a great career in running, the fastest in the world. But you telling me if he would have tested positive on his last race, test positive for steroids, it wouldn't have screwed up his whole career? Oh, only reason you was that fast is because you was using steroids. Same thing, man. It's no different. Look at Barry Bonds. They try to rip him away from all his home runs and everything because they're saying the steroids is the reason you did that. You know how to swing. That dog know how to go in the rear end. He's still gonna be a rear end dog. Barry Bonds know how to swing his bat, but he swing his bat a little bit different if he was on that juice. That rear end dog doing a little bit different if they on that juice. That chest dog doing a little bit different if they on that juice. Now, is he really a bulldog or not? You know, it's what we're talking about. Now, we spoke about the weight pulling. You can't tell me that you're not gonna say it's cheating if you find out the person that beat you was using steroids. Same thing with the wall climbing, using steroids. If Tom Brady in his last game, you know what I'm saying, if he was playing with since who that was Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? And in the Super Bowl that he won, he tested positive for steroids. You don't think they would void all them other Super Bowls? They would try to say, "Oh, you was on steroids. You was on steroids. That's the reason you was doing this, or that's the reason you was doing that." Athlete is an athlete. We say these dogs are athletes. If you got to use steroids, then it's not the athlete that you think he is or you think she is. And no matter how you argue about it. But like I said, that's my opinion. You know, just my opinion. Now, we said the weight pulling, we said the wall climbing, treadmill race. You know, dog who can run the fastest, the longest, or like the longest stretch in the fastest amount of time. You know, the faster he's spinning that thing around, the further his distance going. So he beat you and he on steroids. And you find out about that. And like I said, anybody who's competing in these events, you know, if they blurt out and they brag a lot about, oh, my dog on roids, my dog on roids, my dog on roids. They may I'm telling you, they may be disqualified without being tested from a treadmill race, from a weight pull, or from a wall climb. just off the strength. You know, oh, this dog ran 3 times fast as your dog, and you know he was on steroids by what the owner say. You're not gonna bring that to attention to the judges. You're not gonna bring that to attention to anybody that matters that can reverse the win. See, what a lot of y'all gotta do is stop lying to yourselves and be true to yourselves when it comes to these dogs. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about, man. Having the best bulldog. Now, we say treadmill race. What about confirmation show? Where they judging off how a dog firing up. They judging off a dog physique. So now you may use a different kind of steroid to get the dog ripped up. So you telling me everybody in the whole confirmation thing should be using steroids? Oh man, this whole show, every dog out here using steroids. What kind of competition is that? You know what I'm saying? What kind of competition are you in when every dog in it is using steroids? If it's fair for one, it should be fair for all, right? Yeah. If it's fair for one, it should be fair for all. Oh, this dog won't stop. He won't stop hollering. He won't stop screaming. He running this way. He running that way. He running this way and running that way. He is impressing the judges, but he full of that juice. And you tell me that don't matter? And you tell me you wouldn't feel some kind of way if you lost to the dog that you know is on it. So you may not have it today. You may not have it next 5 years, 10 years. But one of these days, they're going to start testing for steroids in these events that these dogs is competing in. You know, let's talk about doing protection work and bite work and all that stuff, right? You telling me you want to get bit as the man that's the decoy, the man that's wearing the suit, the man that's running from these dogs. You want to get bit by a dog that's on steroids. Or if the dog that's on steroids win the event. You couldn't win the event without being on it. It's cheating no matter how you look at it. You know, and that's why they stress it so much in all your sports. These brothers on steroids boxing, they hitting harder, you know, along with other things. So if the brother boxing get hit hard on steroids, you don't think that dog on steroids gonna do something else a little harder that he would do naturally? The point of boxing is to see who the better fighter is, right? Clean, natural, the better fighter. If you're not the better fighter natural, then you just not the better fighter. And that same thing with the dogs. If you got to use steroids, you just not the better dog. You did the job and won the money. When that's all you caring about is winning the money. But every time it goes to a box, you're going to have to rely on getting you a vial of that shit. Getting you a vial of steroids. Because that's the only way you had success. Only way you was winning was with the steroids. So you're going to be like, oh man, like I said, you're not going to have confidence to take a dog naturally. And it don't got nothing to do with whether you know how to use it or not. It's whether you have to use it or not is what I'm talking about. You know? And I don't care what you say. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is opinionated. I don't care what you say. If you use steroids on your dog 3 times, you're not going to have confidence in your dog on that 4th show without steroids. You know, you're not going to have it. So that should be telling you that do you really got the bulldog you think you got? You're not having little puppies with steroids in them coming juiced out like your dog is. Do you got the dog that you think you got? Let's talk about it. Greyhound racing. Greyhound racing. Forget the pits. Greyhound racing. Oh, the dog that win. You don't think they do doping? That's why I tell y'all, the more legal stuff we get into with these pit bulls, oh yeah, you can bet you believe it's gonna be some doping testing going on eventually. You know what I'm saying? Unless they don't want to play fair. When you talking about real money on the line, like greyhound racing and horse racing, oh yeah, they doing doping testing. See, it ain't no money on the line with these events with the pit bulls. Let the pit bulls start being in events where you got 100,000 on the line, 200,000 on the line. These dogs champion, these dogs coming in the same way greyhound racing is. Oh, this dog won the greyhound race, but he was found out he won 3 races back to back, but he was on dope using steroids. You don't think he'll be totally disqualified? All his wins getting voided? Do you got the fastest greyhound in reality? No, you don't got the fastest greyhound in reality. No, you don't got the best bulldog in reality because you're using a substance to make you think is the best bulldog to give you the edge. You know, the best bulldog is what the best bulldog is. Born that way, natural bulldog, you bring them in natural. Now, it's already bad that we give them supplements to this. All that stuff is all you need, your supplements, and to eat the right kind of foods. You know, give them the right kind of exercise. I mean, it just is what it is. Like I said, greyhound racing. Can you use steroids on that? And if it's not cheating in greyhound racing, if it's cheating in greyhound racing, why is it not cheating in Pitbull rolling back in the days? Of course, they didn't test it. They didn't worry about it. But we talking about professional versus professional. Why is doping your greyhound up cheating, but rolling your pit bull with steroids not cheating? Why is doping your horse up cheating, but doping your pit bull in a match not cheating? Because the bar was pushed from the rip. You may not have had people to test for it back then. You know, they didn't want to test for it. You want to continue to lie. But all it takes is for the pit bull events or pit bull events to make it to the mainstream, make it to TV. Oh, you got to go against a dog in dock diving competition. You got a big time dock diving competition where money is involved, not just no ribbons. We talking about real deal money. You know what I'm saying? This dog jumping 3 times farther than you is, but he on steroids. You don't think that's cheating? You don't think these folk all hell gonna break loose if they find out your dog is on juice and he jumping 3 times farther than their dog? Oh, that's not fair. Oh, this and that. Oh, this and that. It's gonna be a lot said about that situation. You know? It's gonna be a whole bunch said about that. Now, let's go to another event. Agility course. And we talking legitimate legal events. You know, your dog jumping through the tunnel. He come and jump the hurdles. He run around these poles, run around them poles, do all that stuff. He on steroids. You don't think you going to get disqualified if they knew or find out you on steroids? Come on now, be real with. That's what I say, man. Folk want to give me answers that ain't really logical, that ain't really real, that ain't reality. If somebody and you competing in a pit bull or whatever kind of event you competing in, and they find out you on steroids, folk gonna say you cheating regardless. You may not get kicked out, you may not get disqualified, but they gonna say your dog didn't win it fair and square. That's all that matter. And when you go home at the end of the day, you in your head know your dog didn't win it fair and square. And that's what it's boiled down to, man. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? When they talk about this steroid topic, you know, is it and was it considered cheating? We know it wasn't considered cheating. And like I said, I got to say it again. I never used that for no excuse if I lost to anybody. I never had to use it as an excuse for winning because I never won with it. You know? So I never had to use it for an excuse for winning. And that's what makes me speak the way I speak about my dogs as bulldogs. Because believe me, I won a whole lot more matches than with Sambo shit. Sambo is just my dog from the 90s. You know, a lot of y'all want brothers to get up here and incriminate themselves and talk about stuff from modern day time. But one thing I can do, because like I said, I done been down for mine. I can speak about more modern stuff. I got more modern dogs that did this or did that. But the person I did it against may not want me speaking about it. So I respect all that as well. So don't get it twisted and think Bo is the only dog I ever won with. Bo is just the only dog that's long enough to say, oh, the time has, so much time has passed. It's 2026. We going on 30 years. Going on 30. You know? And I keep bringing up my little card. I keep bringing up my little card, and I have to keep bringing up my little card. This card is older than some of y'all been in the dog game. You know what I'm saying? This actual card, this ain't a reprint. This is the actual card that I got printed out 20 some years ago, 26 years ago. My cousin in Jersey had one, and he said, "Yo, you wouldn't believe what I found in my stuff in the closet, man. I found one of your old cards." I said, "What? Send it to me." You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate the cuz for sending me the card. You know, this is the original. Like I said, been in the dog game. This card was made for some of y'all even been in the dog game. Now, drop down in the comments, drop down in the chat. You know, let a brother know how you feel about the topic, man. How you feel about the topic. All answers are great answers. Whatever you feel, is no wrong answer. It's only talking points. You know what I'm saying? We only discussing because at the end of the day, the stuff that we talking about as far as matching wise, it was never brought up as cheating. You can't bring it up now and say, oh, you cheated. We found out Mayday was on steroids when he beat so and so. We can't say he cheated because it was never looked at as cheating. You know, only when they start doing the test, only when they start considering it cheating. But at the end of the day, if you can't win your event without being juiced up, then you don't got the dog that you think you got. You don't got the horse you think you got if you can't win that race without being juiced up. You know, even with Secretariat, the one of the most famous horse in the world. It was rumors that he was doping up. They never had proof of it. If they would have ever had proof of Secretariat doping up, you know, then they would have took the Belmont Stakes away, the Triple Crown, and they would have took all that stuff away. The Prius, they would have took all that stuff away if they would have had proof. You know what they did say? When he died, his heart was 3 or 4 times the size of a regular horse's heart, which comes from doping. But they don't have no proof that he doped or anything like that. His name will never be tarnished by doping, the doping legacy, because they didn't dope him. They didn't, when he tested or took any kind of test, he passed them. You know? So his legacy will never be tarnished by it. And it's too late for him to find out whether he was or not. Seabiscuit and all these other famous horses. If they ever find out any of these horses that we hear about, Man of War or this horse, if we ever hear these horses or they have proof that these horses was doping, then their legacy would go from here to here. You know, the shows that we hear about where these dogs were going 4 and 5 hours, 6 hours, you know what I'm saying, for a dog match. If you ever hear that dog was on steroids and it was a big deal as far as legal and illegal and being legal and they was handling it like that, like greyhound racing, then that 6 hours will be dropped from, oh, that was a game dog to right there. Oh, man, he wouldn't have went that long if so-and-so. You know, and the thing about doping, the thing about steroids and the matching, you had to condition your dog on your steroid. You couldn't just give it to him. That's why I say you shoot a dog a week out from the show, give him a test a week away. If he passed, don't worry about what he's doing that final week. Let him shoot all the steroid he wants if you want to shoot him in that final week. It's only going to hurt him if he don't condition that dog on the steroids. So like I said, man, all I want y'all brothers and sisters to do is give me your opinions down in them comments. Salute to all the brothers down in the chat. Everybody that's rocking with me, y'all hit that like button up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed to the channel yet. If you want to get up and talk about it on live, you know what I'm saying? If you want to speak about it on live, just hit me up. We can have a whole live show to speak about it and get your opinion on it. And you know, we'll get everybody else's opinion on it as well. You know, but I just had to go from event to event to event to event to event to let you see that when you use steroids, the win is not fair. You know what I'm saying? And we all know about the dog game. They've been shades. There's so many things they want to keep you blind from in the Pitbull game for so many years. As time go on, things come out. Things come out. The steroid may never be a situation that tarnishes the old dogs compared to the new ones. You know, but things come out. Things come out. Lies come out. Certain things come out about these dogs that they want to keep you blind from for over the past 30, 40 years. You know what I'm saying? When they're competing on a professional level, any dog, any animal that's competing on a professional level, they get tested for steroids. They get tested for dope because them folk ain't having that shit when you got real deal money on the line. These folk racing got $1 million on the line in a horse race. You don't think if dog fighting was legal, they have millions of dollars on that as well? You're not using those steroids. Oh, I used to use it back in the 90s. Well, go back to the 90s and use it. But you're not going to use it up here on this ESPN channel. And that's just the way it's going to go, man. And like I said, drop your opinions, because this is my opinion. Drop your comments in the chat. You know what I'm saying? And hit me up if you want to come on the live and talk about it or discuss it. And like I said, this discussion has nothing to do with whether you're using it the right way or not. You know, this has nothing to do with that. We only talking about, is it cheating, or was it considered cheating, or should it have been considered cheating? You know, that's it, man. Not to mention all the health problems your dog have later on in life. Dogs go blind. You know, I done seen dogs go blind and never get their vision back. The dogs go blind early. Your dog might be 8, 9 years old, been using steroids his whole young career. Now he's 6, 7, 8, and he going blind. Now he's sterile. He can't have puppies. You know what I'm saying? So it's different effects to this stuff, man. And you think brothers, I'm asking you, do you think brothers will be subject to use this stuff if you weren't putting 20,000, 50,000, 30,000, 10,000, all these big purses, 100,000, $500,000 on it. All these big purses, you think a brother gonna be subject to use steroids or want to use it? No, man. If it was a rule that you couldn't do no pit bull roll back in the days for more than $1,000, that was the rule. You couldn't do no pit bull roll for more than 1,000. How many people would have actually rubbed their dog? How many people would have actually shot their dog up to get that unfair advantage? I rest my case, man. Y'all stay safe. Y'all stay legal. It's your boy PBK on the PBC, Pelican Bay's Corner, where I give it to you fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. Y'all hit that like button up. Y'all have a safe day, and we out.
The Pitbull Encyclopedia is the ultimate guide for anyone who loves, owns, or wants to learn more about one of the world's most misunderstood dog breeds. Packed with expert insights, breed history, training tips, health advice, and heartwarming stories, this comprehensive book breaks down the myths and highlights the true nature of pit bulls: loyal, intelligent, and loving companions. Whether you're a first-time owner, a seasoned pit bull enthusiast, or an advocate for the breed, the Pitbull Encyclopedia is your go-to resource for understanding and celebrating these incredible dogs.